Hello guys, welcome to this new video. My name is Eric Patterson. Today I'm going to show you today I will walk you through, not show you, but I will walk you through into the Jenkins configuration. I will show you important button that you have to know as a beginner. This video is just designed for beginner in Jenkins, so I will walk you through a couple of important element that you need to know under the configuration of Jenkins. But before we start, I want to emphasize that when we're talking about the configuration in Jenkins, that's like everything that if you change, will change the behavior of Jenkins. That's equivalent of the setting button, for example, in our cell phone, or the setting button in our laptop for people that use Windows. And also, for example, I have Mac OS here. That would be equivalent to, for example, when I come here, I say system preference, right? These are the settings. So to get into the Jenkins settings, you have to go to the dashboard of Jenkins. Then after the dashboard of Jenkins, you basically go to manage Jenkins. So manage Jenkins, this is basically here where you have all the setting for Jenkins, for example. So you have to click here on manage Jenkins to get here. So it is either you go to the Jenkins dashboard, you come down here on manage Jenkins, or you can come to the dashboard as well. You put your mouse on the dashboard here. There's this little drop down menu. It is not this drop down menu. It is this little drop down menu here. You click on it and it will take you again to manage Jenkins, and you will see everything under manage Jenkins. But let's try to get the icon and see that in terms of icons. So I will go here to manage Jenkins. So in manage Jenkins, what is important that you have to know, for example, like the system. So this will give you how a configuration for all the setting. So for example, usually when you install a plugin, you need to come here and configure it. So in here, you are going to have system, and it will show you the home directory, right? This is where Jenkins actually installed, right? It's telling us that Jenkins is actually installed in Valley Jenkins. That's where this Jenkins is installed. I think I have the Jenkins open right now. For example, if I sudo as a user Jenkins here, I would say sudo su-jenkins, because this is our Jenkins server. Now, I am a user Jenkins here. If I do cd home, for example, then I type pwd, it will show me var lib Jenkins, meaning that that's the default directory for Jenkins called var lib Jenkins. So if you want to know the default directory of Jenkins, you can check here to see. Now that's the system message. This is a message that, for example, when you type, it's going to appear, and it's a system message that, for example, you can add. So you can put anything here. For example, you say this is the main Jenkins server, for example, here, and you can preview that message, right? It's a plain text. So if I apply here and save, apply and save, just taking a little bit of time. Let's refresh here, apply, then save. Then after I go to the main dashboard, see, this is the main Jenkins dashboard. So I can click here to delete it as well if I want, then save. Then that's what the previous one. Now, you can also, I will show you guys how to use plain HTML. You can make this bold here. For example, you can make it bold. And to get that done, I will open, for example, another Jenkins that we are using. I will copy something on it. That there's a HTML text that you can use, for example. So the HTML text that you can use, for example, let me go ahead and grab the credential for that on my other screen. So let me quickly grab the credential for that. Look for the credential Jenkins. This is another Jenkins server, the one that we use for the development server. So let me go into manage Jenkins here and go under system and copy this, for example. So I can go back to manage Jenkins. I will come down here and put it here. Then I can pass this here and I can change this. Let's just say DevOps Easy Learning, Jenkins server. Now, if I say preview here, it's not going to show me anything because I need to enable something on the security. So I will apply and save. Now I will go back to manage Jenkins. This time around, I will go to security. I will scroll down for plain HTML to enable plain HTML. See here, the makeup formatter is plain text right now. I need to change that to save HTML. Then I can apply it and save here. Then I will go back to system. Here, now I can preview. If I preview, this is what's going to happen. If I apply and save here, then I go back to the main dashboard. It is now bold. As you can see here, it's now bold. That's how you can make the test bold. So you have to go enable the the plain HTML, the HTML server. So okay, so let's go back into manage Jenkins, the system. Here now build executor. Here you can configure stuff like the build executor, for example. That's the number of executor that you want the Jenkins agent to use. But this is the agent for like the Jenkins server itself. Here you can assign any label. For example, I can say main server, for example, to assign the label. So, but I'm not gonna like walk you guys through all this system. It was just to show you that there are a lot of stuff you can configure here, how you want the default Jenkins agent to be used. For example, the built-in agent that come with Jenkins. You can configure everything here. And also notice that when you install the plugin, it end up here, right? Couple of important element here is like here. When you install the plugin, it come here. So as a beginner, what you should pay attention is this number of executor, like the meaning of the number of executor here, which is like the number of job that Jenkins can handle at the time. And also there's the label. The label is actually, for example, like the name that you are giving to the executor. And the usage is either you use this node as much as possible, meaning that Jenkins can use the built-in executor for everything, or if you say use only build job with label expression matching this node, meaning Jenkins will also only assign the default agent, the default built-in agent for job matching either one of these labels. And you can define multiple label, right? You can define multiple label here. You can create maybe another label called master. So one thing that's also important. So here also one part that is important I want to focus your attention as a beginner is this is where your Jenkins server URL is, right? And you can change this. Let's say, for example, if you have a DNS, for example, you can change this to put a DNS. You have to change it because, for example, when Jenkins is talking to Slack, let's take an example where Jenkins actually send a build report to Slack, and we come with a IP address. Like let's say, for example, this IP address that you see here is actually the same that you have here, right? As you guys can see, you end up with 22:80:80, 22:80:80 here. And if I put something else, you're going to output something else. So make sure that you have the correct Jenkins URL here. For example, for the system admin email address, you can put it here. It's not mandatory if you want. Also, few stuff. These are plugins. It is when this SonarQube here comes from the fact that I have installed a SonarQube plugin. For example, you are going to have also, if you install like, you are going to have also something like Slack. This is for GitHub because I actually installed a GitHub plugin, and you can add a GitHub server here. All these GitHub are populating because I installed a GitHub plugin. Shell. This is where you can define the shell that Jenkins use. You can change the shell, for example, like being by default. Sorry. By default, Jenkins use the /bin /sh. So you can change this one, for example, the shell of Jenkins to be like bin bash if you want. So you can change the shell of the Jenkins here. And also one thing that I want to mention, when you see like a question mark on Jenkins, if you don't know the meaning of that, you will click and Jenkins will basically tell you the meaning of that. You want to configure Jenkins with SMTP, you can, not the SMTP server for like the mail server, you can go ahead and configure that here. I'm just showing you guys stuff here. For example, for a beginner, Slack. This is popping up because I've installed actually the Slack plugin. That's what's it. That's just few basics here for that portion. So let's go into another one. Let's go into like tool. This is where, for example, here when you install anything that is tool like like a Gradle. If you install like the Gradle plugin, the Maven plugin, you install SonarQube plugin, like everything that is tool, like have Maven, Gradle, MS Build and stuff. So everything will be here on that tool, right? And here, for example, I can add a Java tool that I want, right? And I can click here to add Java tool. And also, if we keep going down, let's click here to close this. Git, right? The Git tool. Git is a tool that you can also, like, for the Git installation, for example, you can add an installer if you want, like for zip stuff. And Gradle also is a build tool. Sonar Scanner, you can add a scanner. You can also have like Sonar Scanner for MS Build. But all this is popping now because I've installed the SonarQube plugin, right? The ARN installation that comes with default, and also Maven, right? You can add like a Maven builder here, for example, like pick the version of Maven that you want. So everything that's like tool, we end up here. Like if you install a plugin and that plugin is like a tool, it's going to end up there. Like we mentioned, like Git, Java, we have Git, you have Java, you have Maven, you have MS Build, you have SonarQube. Everything we end up here under tool. Now you have plugin. When you want to install plugin, this is where you go here, plugin. So, and you can install a plugin here. I think there's a video, I'll put it on the description, where actually I showed a video into how to manage plugin in Jenkins. Node, this one for like provisioning, like static node. If you want to add like a static node, meaning that you want to add a node that will be 24/7 available for static node, you go ahead and add it here. You can click here to add a new node. This is a built-in node that I was talking about earlier. That's like the default built-in node. This comes when you install Jenkins. And this was actually the node that I was talking about when I was here on the system. And I mentioned about the executor, and I mentioned about how the user of the node. That was the node, the default node that I was basically talking about. So this is for static node. Now, if you want to configure dynamic node, because for static node, you click here on node, you configure that. They can either be like a container, or they can either be, for example, like a virtual machine. For dynamic node, you have to come down here on that cloud, right? For example, here, if I click on cloud, I have you are having this because I have installed, for example, the EC2 plugin. That's what you have, and we actually configure dynamic, right? Dynamic node. So this Jenkins is connected with EC2, and it's capable of launching dynamic node, for example, on AWS. So that's the cloud, right? This is for the cloud. So pay attention, this node is for static node, and the cloud is for dynamic node. Security also, this is security Jenkins. This is where you can like put restriction, like this is the RBAC, like role-based access control for Jenkins. You come down here, for example, under security. And here, this is where you put everything. This is actually a plugin that I have installed, and we have few users here like admin, right? I have admin and John. I'm actually managing what John can do and what John cannot do. For example, if I go ahead, for example, I can click here. The user John won't be able to do anything no more on this server. Here, I was here earlier for the formatter. I changed that from plain text to actually save HTML. Like this is for the agent if you want to configure the agent, but as a beginner in Jenkins, you don't need to focus or pay too much attention here. This is just for like a little advanced stuff. This is also for the host key verification strategy. For example, you can change that to non-host, or you can change that to anything that you want. I've saved that. And the next thing that we want to talk about, credential. If you want to like supply any credential to Jenkins, you come down here, and there are multiple type of credential that you can supply to Jenkins. For example, you can supply like SSH with password, like a lot of credential, right? These are all the type of credential. You may have more here depending on the plugin that has been installed. For example, if you install, for example, the Azure plugin, you might have credentials management stuff here for Azure, or if you install, for example, GCP, you might you might have that as well here. So to manage credential, that's why we go to manage Jenkins, manage credential. This is just for like the credential a provider, but as a beginning on Jenkins, you don't want to worry too much about it. So I will shoot another video about credentials so that we see how to manage this credential in Jenkins with the provider. User, if you want to create any system user, you create it here. But technically, users are not created. These users are created by SAML. So technically, if you like work in a company, you will notice that we have an LDAP server. You will configure Jenkins the LDAP server, and everything will come from there. But if you want to like manually create a user for Jenkins, you can click on user, and you can go ahead and create a user with a password and everything. In progress script approval, you don't need to know this for now. System information, right? That's just like the system information for basically this Jenkins server. You have here the system property in terms of environment variable. These are the environment variable. Now, it is always good to know, for example, few of these environment variable, because these are non-environment variable, for example, that you can basically call on your job. There are few of them. There are few of them. But these are just like few that you can call, like if you say like in the Jenkins call what it is. These are variable you can go ahead and use. So those are predefined. Those are predefined variable, and if you click there, it will show you all the value. For example, when you say user, the default user here is Jenkins and other stuff. You say Jenkins home, say value Jenkins. So the joiner stream. So that's just like variable. And these are like a plugin, like all the plugin that is installed here. And if you want to know more about the plugin, you can click here. It will take you to the plugin documentation, for example. And you have like the memory usage, like just want to see how your Jenkins server is behaving, like day by day, hour per hour, minute per minute. You can go ahead. There are plugins that if you install, it will give you like a better look. There are some like good plugins that if you install, they will actually give you like a better look in terms of like system usage that Jenkins use and thread down. So you don't have to know this also as a beginner. Now, you have here, we already cover credential, we cover user. Now, system log, that's like the log of the Jenkins server itself. If you click here, it will show you, for example, like all the log, what happens. And usually, if your Jenkins server is misbehaving, you can go under the log to check what is happening. This is very handy for like troubleshooting the Jenkins server itself, that something's happening. Maybe it can connect to a node, maybe the job are taking too much time, and like anything that is happening, maybe bill are not being triggered as expected, as anything, you will have to come to the log. Just like container, like if you are familiar with Docker container, when you have a problem with the Docker container, you can check the log, or like a Kubernetes port, you can go ahead and check the log. The next thing is a load statistic here. That's just telling you like in terms of like the executor, right? In terms of like the executor, for example, it gives you the which executor is online and what did he do, like in terms of the load, which one is busy, which one is queue, which one is available. This is mostly like in terms of executor, the load statistic, but in terms of executor. About Jenkins, this is just telling you the version of Jenkins that you have. You want to know more information, about the version of this Jenkins. For example, this Jenkins running version 2.4. If you go back to the system information, we should be able to see the same version here. So here also, you can see the version that Jenkins is using on the main dashboard. Here also manage all data. You don't really have to know this for now. I think that's pretty much all. Reload from this. This is very handy. For example, when you actually went on the backend and delete something, and you want to sync the UI with actually what is in the backend, you can come down here and click reload from this. This is for like the Jenkins CLI. Those are just advanced concept in Jenkins. As a beginner, you don't need, for example, to know now. That's like a script console. If you know this language, you can go ahead and use the script console to maybe execute stuff on Jenkins as well. I think that's about it. Prepare for the shutdown. This is, for example, like you want to give a reason and prepare for the shutdown. Maybe probably schedule the shutdown, right? Should prepare like schedule shutdown in Jenkins. That's probably all for like as a beginner, right? That's for beginner. manage Jenkins for beginner. We're going to come back with a later video, which would like probably show in depth stuff like credential provider, like take time to walk you through guys on the security and like show you how to read the system log and stuff. It was a pleasure having you guys around. I hope you like this video. If you like, go ahead and subscribe. If you have any question, put it on the comment. I will go ahead and reply. Ciao.